Hi guys, it's Nancy, and today I have a bloopers card. And what I mean by that is I have this card started here, and you may or may not be able to tell. I mean, it looks pretty good, right? But there are several mistakes on this card which are driving me crazy, so I'm going to try to save it. So how I started this card was I used some of the Heidi Swap metallic texture paste, and I got these a couple weeks back. They were on sale at Michael's for like $3 a tube, so I took a couple of them. But when I got home, I realized once you put this out on your craft mat, there's no putting that back. And to me, that seemed kind of wasteful, because I know a lot of you guys, like myself, use stencils and you squirt some out and then squeegee it on and you can't put it back. So I went to Michael's and got these little tubs, and they were only a couple dollars for like a 3-pack or 4-pack, and I put as much texture paste as I could in here. So now it is reusable, and then this is just the little bit left that I have in the tube. But I used a stencil, and this is a really old one, as you can see. Taped it down, put the Heidi Swap texture paste on there, and then I layered it up with some Martha Stewart glitter, and this is the sugar cube glitter. Okay, so I let it dry. The next day, came back to it. It was all dry. I was going to make a card out of it, but when I went to make the card, I realized that when I cut the paper down, that I had cut this side larger than this side. So no big deal. I'll fix it. I'll put a strip of the metallic that I'm using in the background here, and I'll put a strip at the bottom, which I don't have in front of me right now, but I was going to put a little strip down here as well and kind of frame it off. Well, when I did that, I got adhesive all over it. Can you see the adhesive there? And this is that super tacky sticky tape stuff, and the more I try to rub it off, the more it's just making it worse. So at this point, I'm kind of frustrated with the card and would normally scrap it, because you cannot pull this off. It will rip the paper. So it is stuck on there. And I kind of stamped the greeting a little crooked, which doesn't bother me as much as the glue stuck all over this. So I'm going to transform this and try to save a card. So first thing I'm going to do is cut some of this extra off of here. And I shared a tip last week where we can save this foil, because I was going to use this as background, by doing your die cutting in the middle. And that way you can reuse this paper. We've die cut our star out. That was for another project, and I also practiced stamping it on my card where no one's going to see it. But I've die cut this star out of it. I'm going to save that. That's out of the new Stampin' Up! Catalog, which was just released today. I do not sell Stampin' Up!, so you'll have to contact your own Stampin' Up! Person. But anyway, this is what I was going to do. I was going to do this with it, and I was going to have that strip at the bottom, but now I'm aggravated with the tape that's stuck all over it. So what else can I do to save this card? So I'm going to move this card base out of the way. So I thought, well, why not make it a window card? So I found a framelit. This is a Sizzix framelit, and I think that's just about the right size. So I think what I'll do is cut a window out of a fresh piece of foil and put my card under that. So I have another quick tip for you. When you are using this foil paper, and this is Die Cuts with a View foiled cardstock. I have a pack of this. I picked it up for $5. I think at Michael's or AC Moore. AC Moore, I think it was today. It's 24 sheets. It's got all different colors in here. Gold, orange, red, like a fuchsia, the blue, and the green. So great for embossing. It's white on the back side, regular paper, so it's easy to glue down. But as I was saying, when you die cut foil, you have to make sure that the cutting plate you're using on your cutting machine is clean. If you use this cutting plate, all of these lines will transfer. Anything that you have cut into this plate will transfer onto your foil. It will press into it. So I have one here which is newer. It does have a couple of marks, but it's not nearly as bad. And I usually mark my cutting mats. Do not cut one. So I have one This is like my original one, which is like, I don't know, 15 years old. And it's actually not warped, not cracked. The only thing I've done with this is kind of wash it under warm water. But I've not done the oven treatment. I've not done anything special with this other than clean it every once in a while. Now, I did have one that did crack, and I threw it away. But this is usually the one I use as my cutting mat. So I'm going to leave this one on the bottom. And let me move this into camera view here. I'm using a new camera setup today too, guys. So you'll have to tell me if it's better or worse. I know it's kind of close. I'll try to move it up for the next video, but at least I'm not using my phone this time. I'm using my iPad. And, of course, now I lost the frame. Let's get this under the machine. And I'm using my handy dandy old Big Kick. This thing is at least 10 to 15 years old. My dad bought it for me as a surprise, so it's kind of got some sentimental value to it. Alright, so what I want to do is kind of match this up with the card and my little snow piece here and where I want that cut out. So, kind of on the top portion of the card, right about there. So that should line up. And I don't have my magnetic plate or shim or anything like that. I'm just using the regular cutting sandwich, and I'm just trying to eyeball it, make sure that it's evenly spaced. Alright, and then I have my, you know what, I do have a brand new pad. Let me just use that. Ooh, so fresh and pretty. I love the new colors, by the way, of the cutting pads. They are much easier to find than the old clear ones. Now I just moved it. Oh no. And I don't want to put any kind of post-it tape or anything on top of this because I don't want any residue on the foiled cardstock. Alright. Now what I should have done is put my new I have that liner paper that has the grid on it that I got from Kat on my long cutting plates, and I should have put that on there. I'll show you guys that at the end of here. Alright, so now I have that cut. Let's move this guy out of the way here. And now I have a square I can use another time. But notice how the square is nice and shiny. There's no damage on it from the cutting pad. That's my little tip for today. If you use an old cutting pad, it will leave marks. And this is crooked. Oh no, it's crooked. Guess what? It's not going to bother me because it's not sticky like the other one was. So now what I'm going to do is line this up, glue it down, put it on a new piece of cardstock, center it up. It actually isn't too bad, not enough that it bothers me. And then I will just stamp a sentiment, put it on the banner down there. I might even heat emboss it. And I have saved a card. So there went from a blooper card to a save card. I might even make this into a window card and put some fake snow in there. What do you think, guys, about that shaker card? That's a great idea, huh? I could put some acetate in there. Put some little glitter, some snowflakes in there, and make it a shaker card. That might end up being what I do with this. I'll let you guys know.